Hi, my name is Glenn Hiemstra. I am the founder and CEO of Futurist.com. So today I talked about what's coming in the future, and I shaped that around two different questions. One is, what is your image of the future? And the simple concept is that the image that you have exerts an influence over the choices that you make. So if you want to change what you're doing today in your company or organization, change the future. And you know, it's kind of a planning concept, of course, but it really is very powerful if you change what you expect or what you're trying to avoid, or you change what you would prefer to happen, which is the most powerful, and you can call it a vision or a dream or a goal. You begin to see things that you ought to be doing today. So let's suppose that a company says, okay, well, our vision is to make all of our products intelligent by 5 years from now. Bam! What does that mean? We better get busy on it in the next year. There's probably 5 different things that we better start doing in the next year if we're really going to be putting intelligence into our products 5 years from now. That's the key point. That image of the future drives the present. And then the closing point that I always make in speeches is stop thinking of the future as something that just happens to us. We sit around and we wait for the future, and then it happens. Okay, now it's happening to us. That's not how it works. The future is something that we do. And everything that we do is creating the future. So if you think of it that way, you'll be asking not what's going to happen, but what am I going to do? And I think that's an important point in terms of creating an organization's future. The Internet of Things is the build out, as I like to call it, and the connecting up of people, things, and nature, and the integration of all of those. And that literally means just putting sensors or intelligence into the things that we build and the things that we ship around the country or around the world. It means actually attaching sensors to things in nature, whether it's trees or animals or the soil in a farm field to tell me when it's too dry or when it's too wet. And then integrating all of that through the cloud, obviously, and enabling me to be aware of what's going on in the environment, and for the environment to be aware of what's going on with me. And at this point, I mentioned in my speech today that we have about, by 2020, we expect to have 1.5 times as many cell phones as we do people on the planet. Well, that's maybe 15 billion cell phones, okay? Well, we already have 20 billion devices on the internet that are hooked up. And by 2020, it's expected we'll have 50 billion devices, dwarfing what we think of as screen-based connection to the internet. All these things are connected to the internet. And Cisco is one company that projects that that'll be, in the next 10 years, that'll generate $14 trillion of economic activity. Just the asking, you know, walk into any room, walk into your office and think, well, so what would be useful in this room if it was smarter? And there's all kinds of things that then come to mind if intelligence was built into that, or a sensor was built into it, or a chip. And that's just a huge enterprise. It's a gargantuan opportunity for companies to think about, including even mid-sized companies. 12 months. Well, 12 months is a very short period of time, although, you know, in IT world, of course, it's a lot. Well, so 2 or 3 things I would jump to. One, we will see more interfaces shifting to gesture and voice. I don't know about you, but I'm finally beginning to talk to my phone a lot, to Siri in my case, and in appropriate settings where it's convenient to talk to our devices to tell them what we want or what we need. We'll see more of that, and I think we'll see a lot more of that by 12 months from now. And while gesture-based interfaces are mostly in commercial applications right now, I think we'll begin to see a lot more of that in sort of pure IT back office kind of operations, where we'll begin to do much more with touch screens and even in wave gestures and so on, including ones where you don't have to touch the screen, where a camera will be able to see you doing things. I think that's probably the most significant thing of the next 12 months. The other one maybe that I would point out is the move toward, it's the big data revolution, the expectation, even by mid-sized companies, that, hey, you're my IT guy, you better know how to manipulate big amounts of data. Oh, by the way, you also better help me figure out how to collect more data, because all this stuff is out there among my customers, and yet it all just sort of goes to waste. We don't actually make any use of it, so you got to help me figure out how to do that. And I think the CIO who's not doing that a year from now will be behind the curve. So an IT exec who wants to position the company to embrace the future is going to focus, I think, on a couple of things I've already mentioned, which are big data and new interfaces. But I'm just fascinated by this concept of the Internet of Things, or as one company calls it, the Internet of Everything, or as another company calls it, the smarter planet. Let's build a smarter planet. The idea that if you're making a product, let's suppose you're making a sheetrock, something very, very, very basic. It just goes into every building that's built. Well, how can you make that smarter? How can you build intelligence into that? Well, there's two ways at least. One, you can build a material that does more than just create a wall. It might, for example, and there's a company that I'm working with whose product does this, it absorbs, it makes the air cleaner. If you use our sheetrock over an extended lifetime, because of what it's made for, a much more intelligent material, it actually cleans the air while you're there. The same thing could be true of a paint that you could put on it. It doesn't just look nice, it actually has a role in creating a cleaner environment. That's one step of making an intelligent material, because there's more intelligence going into building the material. The second step is to then have sensors built into it. So, for example, if I'm putting sheetrock into a meeting room, I might want sensors that know whether there's people in the room. Maybe we can do that more easily in the lights, or just in the doorway, or some other place. Or maybe you want sensors if you have your walls in the southeast where there's a lot of moisture, and you'd like to know whether there's any moisture that might actually contribute to a mold problem. Well, so in every 100th sheet I might build a sensor, and so then in every room there's some part of the wall that has a sensor built into it, and that might have a battery, a little hatch that has a battery that needs to be replaced every 3 to 5 years. But and it's telling the building owner whether there's any moisture that's getting into this wall in this room. That's an intelligent product. And if you're not thinking, how can we build intelligence into our products or into our services, you're not keeping up.